So when your best friend says you need to have a disclaimer in the beginning of your podcast because the lawyer in her is screaming, you do it. Here's my disclaimer. I am not a doctor. I am not a therapist. I am not even an expert. I am you. I am bringing information to you as I see it. But don't take my advice. Make your own choices and make them good choices. On with the show.
Welcome to the podcast where we talk about cannabis.
Community violation. Code Green Plant.
Hi, thanks for coming and hanging out with me. I appreciate you being here. And it's been a fun ride. It's been a fun trip. I'm really enjoying podcasting and creating. So I have some really cool stuff to share with you. So I had an experience recording my last podcast with Phoebe, and we had filmed CBD and pets. I had my best friend, Lori, on the show, and she didn't show her face. She didn't show her face. It really bothered me that she didn't show her face. And I understand why. She's an attorney. Cannabis can affect your career. It's all unfortunate. And obviously, I'm one of the biggest advocates for cannabis, especially the medicinal side of it. So just because I'm an advocate for cannabis doesn't mean that everyone in my circle, in my world, feels like they can be as open as I can. It's hard to be open that you use cannabis because ultimately you're looked at as either a drug addict or someone that's like a loose cannon. There's so many different things to worry about when you're attached to cannabis. So I can't be upset if the people in my world don't want to be associated with it. So what it did for me, it bothered me. It really bothered me that my own best friend couldn't show her face on my podcast. So I started thinking, and there's so much more that I want to cover. And there's so many more people that I want to talk to. And there's so many more areas that I want to reach that I can't reach in cannabis. I can't reach people. I can't get marketing. I get shadow banned. I'm not allowed to do this. I'm not allowed to do that. Do I think that will change? Absolutely. But right now, it's not changed. For me, I decided that this Friday episode that I'm doing right now is going to be its own podcast. It's going to separate from cannabis in the way of my company. I have to do it. It's like, those intuition, those gut things that are happening inside you when you see something and you're like, it just gives you a reaction. My gut is screaming to do this. Now, that does not impact Code Green Plant at all. It does not impact Simply Vibin' at all. We are still going to roll out products. We are still going to have our website. We are still going to do our Wednesday episode. I'm just going to take this solo series and move it to its own house. It's going to have its own house because I want my best friend to be able to show her face on my podcast. It's black and white. I want these people, these women that are out there making great strides in the world to come on my podcast. You see, I'm split down the middle. I'm a cannabis advocate, but I'm also a woman advocate. I just have this innate thing inside me that wants to empower women. And honestly, this is actually full circle for me because I don't know if you have been listening to my last few episodes. One of the first episodes, I talk about the Sassy Onions, which is women focused. I got away from that and started to head towards cannabis. But I started thinking, like, I don't have to not do it. I can do both. I can do both. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to have both. I'm going to be able to have people on my podcast and they can show their face. I'm going to be able to share these wonderful stories that of women have triumphed in situations. Women have broke the ceiling. Women have pulled themselves up from their bootstraps and kicked ass. That's who I want to talk to on this podcast. That's who I want to learn from. That's who I want to share with you. My audience is women. It just is. It's what I know the most about. It's what I feel the most passionate about. So I hope you'll show up over there too. I hope you'll join me over there. I think I'm going to keep, I don't know if I'm going to keep my Friday schedule or if I'm going to move it to Monday. I'm not sure yet. I might move it to Monday. And that way my solo podcast releases every Monday and my Code Green Plant releases every Wednesday. Code Green Plant is still going to be every Wednesday at midnight. So I'm just deciding on mine. It's going to be a little while before I actually open it and launch it. It's in the works right now. Let me share a little story with you. I decided that I was going to do this last week. So of course I've been talking to Lori about it and I needed to come up with a name. It's like when I heard Code Green Plant, I was like, that's it. Like I just knew. It just fit. It was the name. So then every time I think of a name or I'm creating a title for something, I go and I look in that area to see if it exists. Then I look and see if the domain exists. So I'm like, okay, so we're going to start this whole process again and create a new podcast. I need a name. I could not come up with a name. As you guys know, because I've been trying to come up with a name for it in Code Green Plant, and I came up with Simply Vibe and Good Choices, which I still like. It's still a good name. Just wasn't quite the one. So I was like, I'm going to ask all my friends and family to describe me in 5 adjectives. Not visually necessarily, but just what do they think of when they think of me? So I have these notes and I'll show you on the YouTube where I wrote everything down. And then if somebody duplicated a word, I would put a check mark. And then if it was a synonym for a different word, I would cross it out. So I came up with what was it? Somebody had said vibrant. And I was like, I love the word vibrant. So I was like vibrantly, resilient, and kind. Those are the 3 words that I chose to use. And then I started thinking, I'm like, that's very generic. Like nobody's going to hear that and think, okay, let me go watch Vibrantly Resilient and Kind. I love the name. I love the words more importantly. And it warms my heart that somebody actually said those about me. I just couldn't make it work. And I tried and I tried and I tried. So then I'm texting Lori last night and I'm like, man, Jersey, Dallas, I was raised in Jersey, born in Dallas. Maybe I can combine those 2 words. Just couldn't make it work. It wasn't singing to me. So as we're texting, Lori says, and I'm not going to tell you what she says. First, I want to tell you the background of why she would say this. Before my mom died, and we would hang up the phone if maybe I was visiting my dad or just on a phone call, she would end the call and she would say, love you, miss you, bye. Just like that. Fast, just like that. Love you, miss you, bye. And so that was something that we would say to each other. And then after she died, my friend Lori, we were on the phone and it was like maybe a year or 2 after my mom died. And she didn't know the story of what my mom said to me. Now, I mean, why would I randomly tell my friend that my mom signs off a phone call like that? There was no reason for her to know that. And we're about to hang up the phone, Lori and I, and she said, love you, miss you, bye. And I was like, what did you just say? And I started to cry because it was extremely emotional for me to hear those words again. And I explained the story to her, and I was like, it's like my mom was speaking through you for just a minute, just to say those words to me. It was a big deal. And so every time since then, Lori and I would carry on that tradition of what my mom used to do, and we would sign it LUMUB. So instead of YOU, we use the letter U. So it's love you, miss you, bye. And so that's how we sign everything off, LUMUB. So as I'm saying, I can't think of a name. I don't know, women empowerment. What kind of name is going to work for this? She sends me the text that says, love you, miss you, bye. That's the name of your podcast. And I start crying. I start crying because once again, my mom has popped up in a random place at the perfect time to be a part of my show, to be a part of my life. And I can't think of a better way to kick off women empowerment than my own mother. She's the reason I'm independent. She's the reason I feel empowered. She is part of me. And to be able to have that as the title of my show, if only she knew how impactful those words were, that it's carried this many years later to still be a part of my life. So that's the name of my show. Love you, miss you, bye. And that's what I want the people that listen and follow and just want to be here to hang out with me, how I will address you. So I feel like all my worlds are aligning. I feel like I really feel in alignment for the first time. I do. And the best part of this whole thing is I already have 3 people ready to do the show. I got 3 people. And they're strong women. And they're going to tell strong stories. And I am like so excited. I'm so excited. Like the full part of me is able to come out, and I can talk about the things that I've been through, and I can talk about some of the traumas that I've gone through. This is like therapy for me and for you. Like if I can help you walk through something, I want to do that. And you'll help me without even knowing it. I hope we connect, and I hope you put comments down there so that you and I can become friends. So remember how I said the sassy onions? If you've been listening, I created the sassy onions. That was for women. I have now found myself full circle. I have a Facebook page called The Sassy Onions. My Instagram handle, which is my personal page, is The Sassy Onions. It's going to stay my personal page. But the page that I created on Facebook 2016 that says The Sassy Onions, I will be changing that page's name to Love You, Miss You, Bye. And I have 100 people that still follow me that I have not even spoken to because I had moved along into something else. I hope I can keep those 100 people with me because I know who they are. They are strong women that want to be a part of something. So hopefully they stay with me when I change the name. We'll see. I'll share it with you. I'll let you know. So I'm not trying to launch this tomorrow. I'm looking at a January date to have the very first episode. So I will still continue to share here every Friday and kind of walk you along my progress in my new podcast channel. I absolutely love my cannabis friends. I am not leaving you. This is my home that I helped build, and I am staying. And I'm probably going to share medicinal cannabis stuff over there. on Love You Miss You Bye because it's important. It's absolutely important. So I want you to be able to still hear all that stuff as I'm learning it because I'm still studying it every day. I'm still looking into it every day. This is just a combination of the full me of the cannabis and the women empowerment, the stories, the other part of me that I feel is huge. I'm more than just cannabis is basically what I'm saying. Like you guys, you're more than just one area of who you are. You're so many more things. You're colorful. Your colors are bright. Why should you only wear blue when you look damn good in yellow? You shouldn't. You shouldn't. Wear those freaking colors. I plan on wearing mine. I've told this story 3 different times to 3 different people and have cried every single time. And today I cried twice telling the mom story of the Love You Miss You Bye. I'm glad I was able to hold it together and not cry this time. But I plan on having that first episode over on Love You Miss You Bye with Lori. And I want you to see her face. And I haven't even asked her yet. So I'm just totally talking out of turn. But we'll share some stories and I'm hoping I don't cry, but I probably will. I'm pretty sure I will. When somebody knows you that well, they kind of know how to hit your heart. And she does because she knew my mom and she's known me since she was 6 years old and I was 5 years old. I'll share pictures also on the podcast. But yeah, I care about you guys, and Phoebe and I are still going to pump it out on Wednesdays, and I will still be here on Fridays up until I was actually going to look up the date of my launch. I think my launch should be Mondays, and I think it should be January 1st. Yep. So for right now, you know how I change really quickly, right? Yeah. For right now, January 1st will be my very first podcast, Love You Miss You Bye episode. And I need to get off this podcast and ask Lori if she'll be on that one because I haven't asked her yet. It's so obvious, right? It's so obvious. I can't believe I haven't asked her yet. I was planning on it being somebody else who I'm so excited about. Oh my God, I can't tell you yet. Can't tell you yet. But it's exciting. It's really exciting. And I think if you like, I'll give you a hint. If you like Broadway musicals, you'll want to tune in to episode 2 of Love You Miss You Bye. So anyway, I think I've tied this all together. I had some other stuff I was going to talk about, but I think I'm just going to make this one short and sweet because I just wanted to share some things with you. I'm so excited. I'm excited for 2 reasons. One, I believe cannabis will become a Schedule 3 drug by the end of 2024, which opens up the research and all the stuff that I'm going to be able to share with you guys. And 2, because I'm about to launch my podcast that is called Love You Miss You Bye. And I hope you'll hang with me on both because Phoebe and I have so much to talk about. What we recorded today was so good. And I had like 3 lines on my piece of paper and we just took it and just had a really good conversation. I so enjoy talking to her and I hope you enjoy listening to us because it's so fun for us. And we want to keep you coming back on Wednesdays. And so I'll speak to you next Friday for my solo series and keep you updated on what's happening. Please hit the like and subscribe button. If you want to support the show, scroll all the way down in the show notes and you can support us with as little as $3. Anything is appreciated. And even if you don't support the show in that way, support it with a like, support it with a comment. Reach out to me. Tell me, what you like and what you don't like. We are small enough right now that I can respond to every single person because we're going straight to the top, baby. And I hope you're hanging with us. Today, we're going to talk about our Facebook page, which is simply Vibin LLC. And that's where I have 1,800 plus followers and I report the news every day. I share some articles on that page. I share all the shorts. I share all of the links and anytime I post in my Instagram page, which is simply Vibin LLC, it automatically links to my Facebook page. but I just have a lot more followers on Facebook, and I hope that you'll be one of them. So go to Facebook, click the like, and follow me there. Also, if you want to get ahead of the game, the Sassy Onions is also going to be where this podcast ends up being. And that's exciting because I'm going to change the name to Love You, Miss You, Bye. All right. I will talk to you next Friday. Thanks for being here. Okay, bye.
This episode of Code Green Plant was sponsored by Simply Vibin LLC. Code Green Plant is a Simply Vibin production hosted by Christy Chanel, with music produced and mixed by Timothy McGee. This podcast is not intended to be used for medical advice and is solely the opinion of the host. Please consult your physician. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and don't forget to follow us on social media. Want more? Visit www.simplyvibin.com. We appreciate you simply vibing with us.
Code Green Plant.